We're Texas Rangers, and the governor sent us down here. This fight's against the law of the state. We're going to stop it.
You don't say.
Well, I guess you start stopping them now, don't you? What's the first thing you do?
Just watch. First, I'll climb into this ring and order the crowd to disperse. Tell them there won't be any fight.
Well, go ahead. I'll watch. Maybe I ought to tell you something, though. Your law's no good here.
Judge, I represent the law of Texas. The law of Texas is good anywhere.
Not here, it ain't. This is Mexico.
What?
This time, the Great Gildersleeve and Judge Roy Bean. Hello there, this is Victor Ives inviting you to join us now for the golden age of radio theater, as we prepare to turn back the clock and relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear to bring you the greatest radio shows of all time. This time, the Great Gildersleeve, and an excellent story, the story of Judge Roy Bean, the hanging judge, the law west of the Pecos, starring Walter Brennan on the Cavalcade of America. But first, the Great Gildersleeve. October 1st, 1944. It's been 3 weeks since Gildy lost his job as water commissioner, and in this episode, he runs afoul of a good-looking real estate sales lady.
The Great Gildersleeve. Each week at this time, from Hollywood, California, Harold Perry as the Great Gildersleeve.
Now let's join our friend the Great Gildersleeve. It's 3 weeks since his dismissal as Summerfield's water commissioner. The development of his friend Fibber McGee's plastic mousetrap has been stymied temporarily for lack of capital, and Gildersleeve's affairs appear to be at a standstill. However, he still likes to eat, as we see now, joining him at breakfast with his family.
Pass the syrup, will you please, my boy?
Here. More hotcakes, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Yeah, but not too many, Bertie. Say 3 or 4, huh? How about you, Marjorie?
No, thanks. I think you and Leroy are disgusting.
Disgusting? Why, we're just healthy, my dear.
Well, I'll fix one more batch, and that'll have to hold you.
All right, Bertie.
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve, I wonder could you give me some money for the grocery bill? The man asked for it yesterday, but you was out.
What does he want money now for? Tell him I'll pay him the bill in the usual way.
I told him that, but he wants it now.
Why? Why in the name of why?
Well, I'll tell you how it was, Mr. Gildersleeve. Man came in yesterday afternoon, and he says to me, "Hi," he says, "is the boss home?" "No, he ain't," I says. And he says, "Well, when he gets home, you ask him for this 1843 that's due on the groceries," he says.
Yes, Bertie.
So I says to him, "How come?" I says. And he says, "Mr. Gildersleeve ain't working now," he says, "and I can't afford to take no chances," he says. "Chances?" I said. "Look here, man. You ain't take no chances on Mr. Gildersleeve," I said. "Why, he ain't paid me my salary for 2 weeks," I said. And I ain't one bit worried.
Oh, my goodness.
I sure told him, didn't I, Mr. Gildersleeve?
You sure told him, Bertie.
But he still wants his money.
Well, I'm sorry about your salary, Bertie. It's strictly an oversight. Here. Oh. Little short. Well, here's 1 week anyway, Bertie.
Oh, thank you, sir.
If that's one of your friends, Leroy, have him wait outside and we finish breakfast. I won't have him watching every forkful I put in my mouth.
It might be Piggy. I'll go see.
The darn kids. Why don't they stay home?
Maybe it's the grocery man.
If it is, he can go right back. And who is it, Leroy?
It's a lady, Unc. Here's her card.
Oh? Miss Gladys Wheeler. Real estate. What does she want?
How should I know?
Well, ask her to come in.
Okay. She ain't bad looking. Isn't Leroy horrible?
No, he's not. He's growing up anyway. Come in, Miss Wheeler. Come in. Sit down. Have some hotcakes. Have some coffee.
Oh, no, thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve. I'm an awful pest interrupting your breakfast. I'd be glad to wait outside until you're through.
No, I finished, as a matter of fact. Sit down. This is my niece, Marjorie.
How do you do?
How do you do?
And my nephew, Leroy.
How do you do, Leroy?
Say, how do you do, Leroy?
Okay, how do you do? Gosh, I let her in.
Great kid. What can I do for you, Miss Wheeler?
Well, Mr. Gildersleeve, I wonder if you've ever considered selling your house.
Selling my house? No, I never had. I don't think I'd be interested.
Oh, I don't blame you, I must say. Such a lovely home. Still, I have a client who's authorized me to offer you $12,000 for it.
$12,000.
Leroy.
When Uncle Mort, it only cost $7,000.
You children leave the room, please. Miss Wheeler and I are talking business, and you don't know anything about it.
I know the house cost $7,000 originally, Mr. Gildersleeve. Still, my client is willing to pay $12,000.
Cash?
Cash.
Grab it, Unc.
Leroy. Miss Wheeler, I wonder if you'd like to see the rest of our house. The dining room is no place to discuss business. And here we are back in our living room. I guess you've seen everything in our humble abode.
Oh, it's all so nice and homey.
Oh, yes, but I've been thinking of making a change. Man ought to move once in a while.
Then you'll be dropping in at my office this afternoon to sign the contract.
Oh, yes, I'll be there.
Honestly, Mr. Gildersleeve, it's a pleasure to do business with a man who knows his own mind.
Well, I've always liked to make decisions quickly. Bingo, that's me.
I'll bet you're a wonderful executive.
Oh, you think so?
Well, most men would have to consult their wives.
Haven't got one.
Really?
Oh, no, sir. Footloose and fancy-free, full of beans, and I make my own decision.
Well, at least most men would have to consult lawyers and goodness knows who.
Why should I pay my lawyer a fee on such a simple deal as this? The old goat, he'll be surprised.
Mr. Gildersleeve, as I said before, it's a pleasure to do business with you.
Well, it's the same to you, Miss Wheeler. Say, do you ever like to,
Do I like to what?
let it go. I'll be in your office this afternoon.
Oh, that's fine. Thanks, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, thank you. Goodbye, Miss Wheeler.
Goodbye.
Don't worry, Bertie. Good times are coming. You know, ever since that real estate woman walked in here this morning, I felt that everything was going to be fine. I'll take this money, we'll buy a new house, then I'll put the rest of it in mousetraps, and pretty soon I'll be a millionaire. And when I'm a millionaire, Margie will have 2 bathrooms all to herself, Leroy will have a baseball diamond and a running track, and I'll have a rumpus room with a snack bar. And Bertie, you will have an assistant.
Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yeah. Don't laugh, Bertie. It could happen.
You're listening to the Great Gildersleeve on the Golden Age of Radio Theater. Now back to Hal Perry as the Great Gildersleeve.
This is just a standard form sale contract, Mr. Gildersleeve. It provides that you vacate your house within 30 days.
30 days?
Well, that's customary. Oh, but of course I don't have to tell you. I can see you've had real estate dealings before.
Oh, yes, plenty of them.
Would you care to use my pen or...
Maybe I ought to just glance through the rest of this.
Oh, by all means, take your time.
Oh, thank you. You're a smart girl, Miss Wheeler. Not like an ordinary agent rushing a fellow into something. Where do I sign?
Right here.
Oh, yes. Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve.
And the duplicate copy.
That's the one I keep.
That's right.
Oh, pen's gone dry.
Oh, sorry. Here's another one.
Oh, wonderful. 2 pens. Well, Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve.
Thank you. That does it.
Yes, sir. Well, I have a feeling we ought to celebrate a little. Come on out and I'll buy you a soda.
Oh, I'd love to, Mr. Gildersleeve, but I've got a customer waiting over on the other side of town. Some other time.
All right, some other time. Before you go, Miss Wheeler, it's been such a pleasure doing business with you.
Yes?
I'd like to throw a little business your way.
Oh, really? Well, you call me.
Oh, I don't have to call you. I just want you to find me a house. Something around $5,000 or $6,000.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Gildersleeve.
What do you mean? Don't you want my business?
Well, yes, but... Well, the fact is there isn't a single house available in Summerfield.
What?
Unless you'd be interested in something around $20,000 or $25,000.
What? Give me back that contract.
Now, Mr. Gildersleeve, that would hardly be fair to my client, would it?
Fair? What's being fair about it to me? You swindle me out of my house for half what it's worth, and all the time you know I won't have anywhere to go.
You know where you can go, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, by George, if you...
Now let's get
get back to the great Gildersleeve, who's really painted himself into a corner. Having sold his own house for a good price, he can't find another to move into at any price. He's tried every real estate agent in town, examined the classified ads, and now at his wit's end, he's taken time out to get a haircut and think it over. So we find him in the hands of Floyd Munson, wedged into a barber chair, strangled by a mussy sheet, smelling like a lily as Floyd gives him the finishing touches.
Well, Mr. Gildersleeve, who's going to win the election?
Hard to say, Floyd, hard to say. You don't know anybody who has a house he wants to sell, do you?
Why, you in the market, Commissioner?
I may be shortly.
Well, there was a fellow in here the other day said he might want to get rid of an Oldsmobile.
I can't ask my family to live in an Oldsmobile, Floyd. What I need is a house.
Why, you getting thrown out of yours?
I'm not getting thrown out. I've sold it.
Is that a fact? Funny I didn't hear about it.
I just told you.
Bet you got a pretty good price for it, huh?
A fair price.
Yeah, it's a good solid house you got there, well built. Bet you got easy $8,000 for it. $9,000 maybe. With the garage and all, maybe $10,000.
I got a fair price. My problem now is to find a place to live.
Yeah. Well, I got a nice little place there. Nothing fancy, you know what I mean? We could do with another bathroom. Wife's always hollering at me. But it's a roof over our heads.
I'm not worrying about you, Floyd. It's me.
Say, now you mention it, I hear where Otto Schlesnick and his wife ain't getting along so good again.
What's that to me?
Well, I was passing that place the other night, and they were carrying on something fierce. I heard her call him a bum mechanic. That ain't good.
Well, if you don't mind, Floyd, I'm not interested in any local gossip at the moment.
Now, wait. Supposing it was to go from bad to worse. Supposing they would have bust up. Why, there'd be a house.
Huh?
Sure, you got to think of those things. Wife happens to pass a remark. Man reaches for a piece of crockery. First thing you know, there's a house on the market.
Floyd, you've given me an idea. Finish me up, will you?
Practically done now.
Great.
Of course, if you're thinking of that house of Otto's, it's only got 5 rooms.
Why'd you tell me about it? I need at least 7.
Well, it's only an idea. Maybe if you was to look around and sort of keep your ear to the ground. Know what I mean? After all, life's no bed of roses. Otto and his wife, they're not the only lovebirds in town.
If there was only some way.
Just because a man opens the door for his wife or carries the groceries home for her, you don't know how he treats her when he gets her there.
Floyd, how are the Thompsons getting along these days?
Oh, I'm afraid that's all straightened out. Her mother finally went home.
Oh, blew over. Yeah.
Of course, maybe I oughtn't to say this.
No? What?
Well, I don't know this. I only heard. But it seems where Doc Pettibone came home at 4:30 the other morning, and she put the bolt on the door and wouldn't let him in.
Doc Pettibone, eh? Always wondered how he stood it. It's not a bad house, either.
Of course, that's only what I heard. But where there's smoke, there must be fire. You know what I mean?
By George, I know where I can find out, too. Let me out of this chair, Floyd.
There you are, Commissioner.
Thanks, Floyd. Thank you very much.
Well, if it ain't Fred Kelly. What happened, Fred?
No cracks, please.
Where'd you get the black eye, Fred?
Ran into a door in the dark.
Oh, that's too bad. Too bad. Let me know if you hear anything, Floyd.
Uh-huh.
So long.
Dr. Pettibone? Well, yes, I do most of his prescription work.
I know that, Peavy, but have you seen him?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, Mrs. Peavy and I played bridge with the doctor and his wife last night.
You did, really? Well, how did they seem?
Oh, they seemed fine. Why?
You didn't notice anything?
Notice anything?
I mean, you didn't feel any undercurrent there? They seemed to be getting along all right?
Why, yes.
No kicking each other under the bridge table or anything?
No, why?
Nuts.
Why do you ask, Mr. Gildersleeve?
I've got to find a house, Peavy. I've got to find one right away.
Is this for yourself or for a friend?
For myself, naturally. For my family. We'll be out on the street in 30 days if I don't find one.
Oh, dear. I don't like to pry, Mr. Gildersleeve, but was it trouble with the mortgage?
No, it was trouble with a woman.
Oh, that again.
The woman deceived me, Peavy. They'll do it every time.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. Not every time.
This one was a real estate agent. I thought if I sold my house for $12,000 and bought another for $5 or $6, I'd make a fair profit on the exchange. But she didn't tell me there aren't any other houses. She didn't tell me that.
Have you thought of renting a house?
Yeah, and so has everybody else. I've even thought of stealing a house, Peavy. That's why I asked you about Doc Pettibone. I heard things weren't so rosy there, and I thought maybe... Say, How many rooms you got in your house, Peavy?
Mrs. Peavy and I are very happy where we are, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yeah, I didn't think so. You don't know anybody who's leaving town or anything?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
The doctor hasn't happened to mention anybody who's on the anxious list.
Not that I can recall. Perhaps if you waited till the winter season.
What? I can't, Peavy. I've got to have a house right away. I can't find one for love or money.
Speaking of love.
Yes?
It's too bad you and Mrs. Ransom didn't hit it off there a while back.
Why do you say that?
Well, I always thought Miss Goodwin very attractive, but that place where she lives is a little small.
Peavy, I've told you I'm all through with that stuff. No more of it. We'll never have anything to do with a woman again as long as that... Still, that's a nice house Leela's got there. Copper plumbing throughout.
Nice shade trees, too.
Yeah. Peavy, I wonder.
What?
I wonder if Mrs. Ransom wouldn't like to go back to Savannah. After all, she's a long way from home up here, Peavy. She could sell me her house and go down there and buy a little old plantation. Enjoy some of that southern comfort. Get some of that old corn pone. Hear those old banjos ringing. Man, I'd almost go with her.
Back to Gildy in just a moment. Now back to Hal Perry as the Great Gildersleeve.
I'm so glad you dropped in, Throckmorton.
Well, I'll tell you, Leela. I've been a little worried about you lately.
Oh, have you really? How nice.
Yeah. When I think of you all alone in this great big house here, day after day.
Well, I'm not completely alone. I have friends, you know.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course you have. But I sometimes ask myself, Leela, if we really know who our truest friends are.
Well, I always think of you as my friend, Throckmorton. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, I am. Very much so. Yes, indeed. You must always think of me that way, Leela.
Yes.
But what I mean is, well, everybody knows that a boy's best friend is his mother. A girl's, too.
I suppose.
Yes. People should stick to their mother and their family, Leela. We mustn't forget the old folks at home. Don't you ever miss them?
Well, I think about them. I think about them a lot. But sometimes I feel I'd rather think about them than be with them.
Oh, that's the wrong attitude, Leela.
Throckmorton, why are you suddenly so interested in my folks? You never showed any interest in them when we were engaged.
Well, it's not your folks so much, Leela. It's not that. I'm thinking of you.
Are you?
Certainly. You don't realize, Leela, you're a Southerner. You were born in the South. It's in your blood. Don't you hear it calling?
Not at the moment.
Leela, think of it. Moonlight and honeysuckle. Soft summer breezes. Those old banjos ringing.
I haven't heard a banjo in the South in 15 years.
Well, you could take that one down with you. Think of that Southern cooking, Leela. Think of it.
I am thinking of it. And you're thinking of something, too.
Yeah, I wonder what it is. I don't know what you mean.
Oh, yes, you are.
I'm thinking of you, Leela. So far from home. Living all alone up here in this great big house. By the way, how many rooms has it got?
7.
Ever have any water in the cellar?
Not a drop.
Remarkable. Just the same, I worry about you here, Leela.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Throckmorton, to worry about me, but I don't worry.
Well, you should. Such a big house for such a little girl. 7 rooms, you say?
I never worry because I know that if anything should happen, if I should ever need protection, you're right next door.
That's just it, Leela. I may not be next door.
Throckmorton, you're not leaving town.
Well, that depends.
It depends on what?
It depends on you.
Oh, gracious.
I mean, here you are living all alone in a great big house, and here I am. I don't know how to say it.
Oh, Throckmorton, you're such a dear, sweet, clumsy fool. Why don't you just come right out and say it?
Well...
sit down beside me first. There.
You got me all wrong, Leela.
Well, I'll take my chances on that. Now, what is it you wanted to say to me?
Leela, why don't you go back to Savannah?
What don't
I'd pay you a good price for your place, Leela. I'd pay as much as it costs. You see, I gotta have a house. I sold mine. Oh, now, Leela, you're not going to cry, are you? Leela, don't cry. It was only an offer, Leela. No harm in an offer. I didn't mean to hurt you. I take it all back. Keep your house, Leela. I just thought you'd like to go back home and get some of that fried chicken. Smell some of those oleanders again. Hear those old banjos ringing.
I hate banjos!
Well, make yourself at home, Gildy. You always do. There's an ashtray beside you. I was just enjoying my usual after-dinner Cavalcade water. Care for a glass?
No, thank you. Judge?
Yes, Gildy.
I dropped over here tonight to let you in on a good thing.
If it has anything to do with mousetraps, let me out.
No, as a matter of fact, it has to do with this rat trap you're living in here.
This what?
Your house. I think I may have a prospective purchaser for it. That is, if the price is right.
Sorry, I wouldn't be interested.
Oh, Judge, don't be ridiculous. This is a bona fide offer.
No, not interested.
Don't be a dog in the manger, Judge. What do you want to wallow around in a 9-room house for?
I like it here. May not be beautiful, but it's comfortable and I like it. I hope and expect to remain here till the day I die.
But that may be years. Look, Judge, this man is no piker. He's prepared to offer $5,000 spot cash for the whole shebang, just as she stands.
I might possibly consider 14.
14? That's $2,000 more than I got. If you think your house is worth more than mine...
Wait a minute, Gildy. Do you mean to tell me you've sold your house?
Well, I didn't mean to tell you, Judge, but that's about the size of it.
But, Gildy, that house isn't yours to sell. You're only the executor. It's held in trust for Marjorie and Leroy.
Well, I consulted them before I did it.
Oh, you did? Well, why didn't you consult me?
Well, doggone it, Horace. Every time I consult you about anything, you send me a bill.
Oh, so that's it.
What am I going to do, Horace? I've sold the house and I can't find another one.
Are you asking me what to do?
Well, I'm asking you.
I'll bill you, so help me, I'll bill you.
Well, go ahead and bill me.
All right. As your lawyer, I advise you to get that contract canceled.
But how, Judge? How can I do it?
Well, it'll take a good lawyer. Fortunately, you've got one.
Yes.
As your lawyer, I shall refer the contract to the probate judge in charge of the estate, to whom it should have been referred for approval in the first place.
Good, do that.
And as the probate judge in charge of the estate, I shall declare the contract null and void.
Yeah. Horace, can you do that?
Watch me.
By George, the law is a wonderful thing.
Just a minute, please. Speaking again as your attorney, the fee for that will be $100. Marked up from 50.
100? Well, I guess it's cheap at that.
$100 or a chicken fricassee dinner cooked by the inimitable Bertie.
Yeah.
Said fricassee to include dumplings.
By George, Horace.
By golly, Gildy.
You old son of a gun.
You old horse thief.
You old puddinhead.
You old stick in the mud.
Be it ever so humble,
There's no place like home. Be it ever
My own little bed in our own little house. By George, I'm glad we didn't sell it. Listen to that. Rain on the roof. And here I am, snug as a bug in the rug.
Hey, Unc, the water's coming through the ceiling of my room.
It is?
Yes, dripping right in my face.
Never mind, Leroy. These days a man is lucky to have a leak over his head. You go to bed. Good night, everybody.
From October 1st, 1944, that's The Great Gildersleeve with Hal Perry. You're listening to the Golden Age of Radio Theater. Continue now with the Cavalcade of America. This is an excellent story. The story of Judge Roy Bean. They called him the hanging judge. He was the law west of the Pecos. And our star is Walter Brennan.
The Cavalcade of America. America. America means skyscrapers and haylofts, the crack of a pioneer's flintlock and the sound of the riveter's machine, the outline of a church steeple against the midnight sky. America is your story. America is you and everyone you know.
Starring Walter Brennan in The Law West of the Pecos on the Cavalcade of America. Tonight, we tell a colorful story of the West that was, and of a real, though incredible man, whose deeds have become legend. The Law West of the Pecos, starring Walter Brennan as Roy Bean.
Look out now, I'm Judge Roy Bean, and I ain't fooling. I'm the law west of the Pecos, and that's my ruling.
Up until the time he was in his late 50s, Roy Bean, living the life of a soldier, adventurer, and businessman, had done little to distinguish himself from 1,000 others of his kind. It was in 1882 that his fame had its beginning. On a sleepy afternoon of that year, he drove into a town on the west bank of the Pecos. Vinegarone, it was called. A town crowded by workers who were ready to build the railroad, and by sharpers who were ready to take the workers' money.
Whoa there. Whoa now. Set the brake, Pancho.
Si, senor.
Men start unloading the wagon. Howdy, friends. Say, it's hot enough to fry a cactus, ain't it?
Yeah. And it may become much more hot, senor. If I understood what you said right.
Huh?
You gave orders that the wagon was to be unloaded?
Yeah, yep, sure did.
We will talk first, hombre. I am Jesus Torres.
Well, howdy, I'm Roy Bean.
And what is in the wagon you wish to unload?
Oh, I got a fair stock of dry goods, some salt pork and other victuals, and a right pretty amount of red-eye. I aim to open me a store.
That is what I thought. But you will open no store in this place, senor. My men and I, we make this town. We wait for the railroad. And I myself will open a store.
Oh, will you now?
See, and no one else. My men here with me, they will back up what I say.
Oh, so that's it. Well, you see these?
Huh?
They're 45s, and I'm right good at using them, too. They say I'm going to unload here and set me up a store. Care to argue?
No, not at all. Welcome to Vinegarones, Senor Bean. Welcome from my man, me.
Thanks. Okay, Pancho, I guess we can unload now.
Si, senor.
Think I'm going to like this town. Seems like a nice, orderly little place.
You cheated. You took that last cart off the bottom.
You're a liar.
I saw you did it off the bottom.
That'll teach you to call me a cheat.
Town does get a little lively at times, though.
Hey, you there. That's my horse you're riding.
Your horse?
Come down off him and fast with your hands in the air.
I didn't steal this horse. I bought him from a fellow down the road a piece.
You're riding a stolen horse, and that's all the evidence we need here. Come on, boys. He's a horse thief. Let's string him up.
My gob, seems like this the most rambunctious place I ever seen. All right, gents, step right up now. You're in Roy Bean's establishment. So name your drink. It's $1 a throw.
Well, I don't mind if I do.
Hey, ain't you the fellow whose horse was stole the other day?
Yep, I sure am.
Strung up the thief, they say.
We always do that to horse thieves in this part of the country. You know that.
You didn't give him a trial or nothing?
Nope. Guess we'll never know for sure whether he actually stole the horse or bought it like he said.
You mean you strung him up without being sure? Why, maybe the dang fool did buy it.
Well, serves him right for buying stolen property.
Well, by gobs, that does it. This careless killing's got to stop.
Oh,
I'm
no.
serious. You're going to give the town a bad name.
Well, what can you do about it?
We can get some law here. That's what we can do. A law that will enforce things.
Where are you going to get it? Nearest law officer's 300 miles away.
We'll have a law officer of our own. We'll appoint one.
You know somebody who wants to die quick? Who can we appoint?
By gobs, we'll appoint me. I'll be the law. Gents, give me attention a minute. The committee of one just had a meeting with me. And it was an almost unanimous decision that we got to have some law around here. And furthermore, that I be appointed officer of the law. Now, I was a ranger once in California, and I got me a law book underneath the bar here, right here. See, here it is. Revised Statutes of Texas, 1879. And from now on...
Wait a minute, Roy. Somebody always appoints officers of the law. Who's going to do the appointing here?
Me, by gobs, I'm appointing myself right now. Judge Roy Bean, the law west of the Pecos.
Yeah? And just who's going to back up your law?
I am. You see these? They're 45s. And I'm right handy with them. I'm backing up my decisions with lead. Understand?
Sure, I understand, Roy. I mean, Judge, Your Honor.
And the first action of this here honorable court is to try you for contempt. You're guilty and they fine you drinks for the house. And that's my ruling.
All right, Judge. Drinks are on me.
Now we're getting somewheres. The law's come to Vinegaroon, and you buzzards have got to learn to respect it. Now, I'm telling you. Court's adjourned while we collect the fine. Hey, Judge. Judge, wake up. That's my ruling. Judge. What's the matter?
Boys is bringing in a man. He just killed a couple of fellas.
Oh, okay. Hand me my pants. We'd have a try right now.
Yeah, but this is Pent Old Ben, one of them crooked R bunch.
Yeah. Was the man he shot carrying weapons?
No, it wasn't. But, Judge, the crooked R bunch is the meanest gang this side of Strattlebug Mountain.
By gobs, Bart Cobble, as my chief deputy, you ought to know I don't give a hoot who they are. Hand me my coat there. We'll give Pinto Ben a fair trial, and then we'll hang him. Order in the court. Stand up, Ben, and receive your sentence. Ben, you've been tried by 12 good men and true. Not of your peers, but as high above you as clouds is above sagebrush. Because some of them are honest. And they've said that you're guilty. Now, Ben, you listen to me. Time will pass and seasons will come and go. Summer, like it is now, with heat shimmering on the horizon. Then will come fall, turning the hills brown and golden, making the air crisp and nippy. Then winter, soft and cool. And after winter, spring. Balmy air, smelling of 1,000 kinds of wildflowers. A gentle sun and laughing brooks and streams. And the little birds will be singing in the trees. But you won't be here. You won't be here, Ben, not by a long shot. 'Cause it's the order of this here court that you be took to the nearest tree and hung. Hung by the neck until you're dead, 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 you saddle-colored son of a polecat. Court's now in session.
Well, Your Honor, this fellow laying there was found in an arroyo outside of town. He got a bullet hole right between the eyes.
Anything on him?
No, nothing, Judge.
Nothing, huh? Well, it's the verdict of this court that the deceased died of lead poisoning brought on by somebody who was a right good shot. Next case.
Well, this hombre was hauled out of the river, Judge. Looks like he's drowning.
Anything on him?
Yes, sir. About $40 and a six-shooter.
Well, now. Hand the money over here. This here court finds the deceased guilty of carrying concealed weapons and fines him $41, $42, $43. And that's my ruling. You two promise to love, honor, and obey till death do you part. Now, if you folks change your mind later, you can get a divorce for $10 more. And now pronounce your man and wife.
Judge Bean, on behalf of the railroad and the ranchers hereabouts, I want to tell you we appreciate the job you're doing in keeping law and order.
Well, now, It's mighty kind of you, Tom. I'm glad you do.
And we want to ask the governor to appoint you justice of the peace.
Gosh, Tom, you don't have to do that. Why, I'm already appointed. I did it myself.
Oh, yes, but having an appointment from the governor will make your position legal, give you some standing.
A regular justice of the peace ain't in business for himself, though, is he? I mean, he just don't collect the fines and put them in his pocket.
Oh, no. He turns them over to the proper authority.
Just a thought. Tom, I want to thank you for your good intentions, but shucks, I'd be a lot happier going along in my own quiet little way, just as I've been doing.
Oh, but Roy,
So I'm going to insist you don't mention me to the governor at Atoll, see? I'm going to insist on it, and that's my ruling.
Hey, George, I just heard it.
Oh, howdy, Tom.
Oh, howdy, Barney.
Something on your mind, Bud?
Not exactly.
Well, I guess I better be running along. You fellas have something to talk over.
Oh, no, that's all right, Tom.
I'm sorry you won't let me speak to the governor.
No, I'd rather go on in my own quiet little way. Thanks just the same. What's on your mind, Bud?
Bad news. Judge, I just found out the railroad ain't gonna run past this town at all.
What's that?
No, runs along the land that's owned by your friend, Torres. There'll be a new town built over there, and this one will be deserted.
Well, it's nothing to worry about. Not a dang thing. Why, I'll build me a saloon over there, and I'll carry my law books along, too. We'll move lock, stock, and barrel.
No, you won't. Torres has had it in for you ever since you opened your store. Always said he'd get even with you for putting them guns in his ribs and making him back down in front of his men that first day.
Yeah, well, I'll make him back down again, too.
No, he got you this time, Judge. When he sold the land to the railroad, he had him to write a contract. And it says that the railroad promises never to sell you a single darn foot of land.
Why, that ornery, thieving coyote. I ought to have him hung for contempt of court.
Why, he ain't showed no contempt of court, Judge.
He ain't. He won't let this here honorable court move into the new town. If that ain't contempt, I'd like to know what it is.
Well, shall I go get him?
No, not yet. I'll figure out a way to tan his hide. He can't beat me. I'll show him. I'll show him if it's the last thing I ever do.
Hey, George Bean, what are you doing?
I'm building me a new courtroom and saloon, of course.
Well, this lot belongs to the railroad.
Yep, it does.
Well, the railroad cannot sell you any land in this town. I have a contract which says that.
So I hear. That don't prevent the railroad from leasing me the land, and for 99 years.
What? Madre...
Now, run along, Torres, and don't be obstructing justice. You're standing in the way of the law west of the Pecos.
Walter Brennan is starring as Judge Roy Bean, the hanging judge on the Cavalcade of America. Now back to the story of the law west of the Pecos, Judge Roy Bean.
No, the railroad didn't come to the town of Vinegarone. So Judge Bean, his establishment, and his law book moved to the new town along with most of the citizens of Vinegarone. Life changed not at all. The new town might well have been Vinegarone, except for its name. And the new town, well, it didn't have a name.
By gobs. Looky here, Bud. Look at this magazine that drummer left.
Oh, say, that sure is one pretty woman.
Pretty? Why, that there's the most beautiful woman in the world. Lily Langtree, the Jersey Lily.
Jersey Lily? Mean she raises milk cows, a pretty woman like that?
Oh, no, you lunkhead. She's an English lady, an actress. She comes from the Isle of Jersey. Say, Bud, nail this picture up over the bar there.
Oh, sure, Judge. It'd be pretty over there.
Sure is a beautiful woman, by gosh. The most beautiful woman in the world. And by gobs, I'm going to do something for her. From now on, this here saloon's going to be known as the Jersey Lily, in her honor. And I'm going to do something else. Gents, let me have your attention a minute. Gents, I'm going to name this dad-burned town. I'm going to name the whole thing. It's going to be called Langtree. Yes, sir, Langtree, Texas. After the most beautiful woman in the whole blamed world. And by gobs, that's my ruling. Any arguments? Well, it's right nice you fellas to agree. Come on, all of you. The drink's on the house. No, sir, Bart. In all the time I've been the law west of the Pecos, there's one thing I kept right up in the front of my mind. And that's dignity and fair dealing. Personal feelings never got nothing to do with my ruling.
Hey, I'm robbed.
Hey, that's your friend Torres. You've been robbed, he says. Come on. What? There's a thief. There's a thief. Stop, or I'll plug you. Now come back here with your hands up.
This hombre, he come into my store, put a gun in my face, he take my money and run.
Court's in session. Search him, Bart. Young fella, do you think you could get away with a hold-up here?
Yes, sir. Guess I did.
Where'd you get them fancy clothes?
St. Louis.
Them Easterners. Bob, you know what we do with bandits in this country?
Yes, sir.
What?
Hang 'em.
That's right. How much do you take, Torres?
$290.
How much do you find on him, Bud?
$210, Judge.
Torres, you're a liar. Here's my ruling. Young fella, for trying to pull a hold up and failing, I fine you $210. The money Bart found on you to pay.
Oh, no. No, that is my money.
And as for you, Torres, I fine you $10 for lying. Here's your $200.
This is justice. I am robbed, and yet I have to pay a fine of $10.
That's my ruling. And now, young fella, you take this $10 and get yourself east of the Pecos, and don't come back again till you learn how to pull a better hold-up.
Oh, thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Now, let's see, what was I about? Oh, yes. As I was saying, I always keep dignity and fair dealing up in the front of my mind at all times. Personal feelings got nothing to do with my ruling.
Judge, I'm sorry to say it, but this is one time I think you overstepped your mark.
No such a thing. I'm the law west of the Pecos, and what I say goes.
Well, you ain't the law of the whole dadgum state. And the state legislature's passed a ruling making prize fights illegal.
Then let shame come down on their heads.
You can't go and invite promoters to hold a fight here in Langtree.
I can't. Well, I already done it, ain't I? Blame fight would have been called off if I hadn't wired them. Stopping prize fights. Why, this is the year 1898. It's modern times. Prize fights has got a right to be held.
But I tell you, they're illegal. Rangers will be coming in here and carting you off to jail.
Let them come. I've been the law west of the Pecos for 20 years. And if there's any carting to be done, I'll do it. I'll hang them. I'll hang them for treason against the government of Langtree.
Oh, now you can't.
But, listen to me now. If I made a ruling they had to be hung, what would you do?
Well, I'd hang them.
That's all I wanted to know.
We're looking for Judge Bean. You him?
Oh, you sure, son? You fellas come in on the special train to see the fight? The pile of folks did. The town's so crowded.
We're Texas Rangers, and the governor sent us down here. This fight's against the law of the state. We're going to stop it.
You don't say. Well, in that case, you have to go over to the ring then, won't you? That is, if you stop it.
I reckon that's just what we'll do.
Well, do you mind if I sort of amble along with you? I just kind of like to see how a fight's stopped. Well, I guess you start stopping them now, don't you? What's the first thing you do?
Just watch. First, I'll climb into this ring and order the crowd to disperse. Tell them there won't be any fight.
Well, go ahead. I'll watch.
Keep your eye on me. You see how this is done, Judge?
Say, before you go in there, maybe I ought to tell you something, though. Your law's no good here.
Judge, I represent the law of Texas. The law of Texas is good anywhere.
Not here, it ain't. This is Mexico.
What?
Yeah, that bridge we come across back there. Had it built myself. That's the Rio Grande running under it. This is Mexico.
Why, Judge, you're...
Yep, I probably am. Probably am just what you're thinking.
Oh, but look here, Judge. Prize fights are against the law in Mexico, too.
Yep, that's right, they are. But there ain't no law officer within 200 miles, though. Fight'll be over and we'll all be back on the other side weeks before anyone can get here.
Well, I'll be doggone.
Say, you gents like to sit and watch the fight now that you're here? I'll fix it so it won't cost you nothing. Fight was hardly worth seeing, was it?
What a man that Fitzsimmons is.
Yeah, he's all right. But what I meant was you fellas traveled all the way here just to see Fitzsimmons knock Meyer out in the first round.
Oh, well, Judge, Oh, by the way, we dropped back here to say that we think Langtry's a nice, orderly little town.
You do, huh?
Tell me, Judge, how'd you manage to run this country?
Mainly by being quick on the draw, and then when I got old and slow, by making them think I was still quick.
That ain't all, though. Laws can't be upheld by force alone.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right. I think I've been the law west of the Pecos for so long, mainly because I give the people the kind of law they wanted.
Well, have you always followed the letter of the law, Judge?
Oh, gobs, no. Leastways, not according to lawyers. Why, only yesterday I fined a fella $20 for saying he'd seen a prettier woman than Lily Langtry.
Lily Langtry. You named this town after her, didn't you?
Yep. We wrote a couple of letters back and forth, her and me. She said she was highly honored and hoped to get out here when she made her next tour west.
Oh, that's fine.
Even wanted to show her thanks by giving us a drinking fountain for what she called the village square.
A drinking fountain?
Yeah. I wrote back and I told her not to send it. I told her it wouldn't be no use to us. Because if there's one thing people here in Langtry don't drink, it's water. Well, Bud, what's the doc's ruling?
Oh, he said not to worry. Said he'd have you out of here in no time.
Either the doc's losing his mind or else you're a liar. He ain't gonna fix me up this time. I'm old. I've played my hand.
Oh, no, you ain't. You got plenty of time left. Well, Judge, Lily Langtry's coming to see. She wrote she'd be here in 3 or 4 months.
Lily Langtry. Gosh. I sure would like to see you. Show her the town, will you? But I don't think I'll be here. But...
Yes, Judge?
Do you think people will remember me?
Remember you? Well, Judge, you're one of the men that made this country. I heard a couple of fellas talking about you yesterday. They said you was a legend.
Legend? Is that good? Well, you should remember me. I was one of the first men in this section.
A couple of weeks ago, was a fella here from New York. He'd heard about you clean back there. He wanted to know if it is true that you made a corpse pay a fine once.
I remember that. Them was the days. But don't let them put no poetry or dates on my tombstone, would you?
No dates?
No. No dates. Just my title. That's the way I want to be remembered. Just have them put on there. Judge Roy Bean. The law west of the Pecos. And that's my ruling.
It was good hearing Walter Brennan again, wasn't it? Used to do kind of a Walter Brennan impersonation, but forgot how, so I'm not even going to try. But I'm going to try to answer a question about Lucille Ball and my favorite husband in just a moment. A listener from Wilmington, Delaware wants to know about My Favorite Husband. Was Lucille Ball the star of that show? Yes, Lucy was the star of My Favorite Husband on CBS. It debuted in 1948. She played Liz Cooper. Her and her husband, George Cooper, were known as two people who lived together and like it. He was a banker, and she was the zany housewife, a role she later perfected on I Love Lucy. That's it for this golden age of radio theater. Victor Ives speaking, thanking you for being with us and inviting you to join us again next time we turn back the clock to relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear and bring you the greatest radio shows of all time on the golden age of radio theater. Thanks for listening.
For a copy of today's program, call 1-800-326-0296 and refer to show number 22. That number again is 1-800-326-0296. And remember to refer to show number 22.